Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice, not financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. Okay, guys, welcome back. So, got a lot to go over. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the Motoko DAO situation, just giving my thoughts on that. And then I'll get into number two and number three, even though they're all kind of intertwined. Now, I hope the best for Motoko DAO, and I've been here since the beginning. I've probably given away 20 or so Motoko Ghost NFTs just because I genuinely believe they're going to be collector's items in the future, and I want people to have one. And I gave away a decent amount of Motoko tokens as well, just to onboard more people to the DAO. And I'm going to have a 2-year scale out to minimize any negative impact. And I don't think the DAO needs me to be successful. I think the DAO will be perfectly fine with or without me. And I said that before the last 6 months. So, yeah. And because it's a 2-year scale out, if things change, if there's more alignment in the future, like a year from now, I might change my position. Yeah. But initially, I was supportive of the new changes, and I'm very optimistic, and I will be supportive of any and all technical solutions that solve for real problems that offer end users better options. I wasn't thrilled with how everything happened with CART, just because CART's been here for a long time, and he actually delivered on a real solution in the earliest days that solved for problems that people were having. But if there's a struggle for power control, everything. And if this entire situation leads to multiple different marketplaces and or solutions and leads to more competition, I think that's a good thing. So I think there's a number of different scenarios that can play out here where everybody wins and the ecosystem as a whole wins. Yeah. I'm simply detaching my personal brand from any and all anti-Dfinity stuff, people, initiatives, narratives, everything, projects. Um, yeah, because it's in direct opposition to everything that I'm doing. And it's always been in direct opposition to everything that I've been doing. And I've always said that. It's undone so much of my work over the last 3+ years. And so there's no alignment at this point. And nobody that doesn't support my work is going to benefit from my channel or my work from this point forward. It's been going on for way too long. I tried to do this in good faith as a volunteer, and a lot of people just exploited that. So now I'm solely going to be focusing on my core base and my real supporters. My supporters are 100%. I have 18 months worth of data to know this at this point. It's 100% retail normies. That's it. And so those are my supporters. So that's where I'm spending my time. I got here without Dfinity. And I don't say that to criticize them at all. I understand why they don't. I get it. It's not a criticism of them. That's just to differentiate myself because there's a lot of entitled people in this ecosystem that feel like they should be given certain positions. And tons of people are. Dfinity puts so many people in perfect positions to win, big picture. But because maybe somebody else got a little bit better deal, the amount of entitlement in this ecosystem is insane. I've been doing this for over 3 years as a volunteer. Myself and Erica published the only thesis, not in the ecosystem, in the whole fucking world, on how we get to Web3 with ICP at the center, with Dfinity continuing to do the exact same thing they've been doing. We published the only thesis on Earth with that. And I've kind of been serving as Dfinity's pseudo mark PR team in the field, addressing concerns, addressing nonsense, shooting that down before it gains too much traction. I've kind of been doing that just on the fly out in the field over the last few years as a volunteer, and I don't expect anything from them. If they never support my channel at all, it's not going to change my outlook or how I cover things or anything like that. They built they built the solution for the future of the internet and solve for tons and tons and tons and tons of problems. They don't have time to support. Like I view them as working on the most important thing on earth. So if they don't have time to like get around to my stuff, I get it. So I have no expectations of anything from. I don't think they owe me anything. But there are people around here who've done a fraction of what I've done. I mean, less than 1% of what that feel like they're owed the world. Like the delusional sense of entitlement around here is crazy, man. Nobody that doesn't support my work is going to benefit from it from here on out, period. Hard stop. I'm disconnecting from every single, like, if you ain't been supporting my work over the last 18 months, best of luck, man. To better explain all this, I have to explain all of this and get into everything else. So let's go. Outside of the factual documented information I go over, everything else will be my opinion or hypothetical scenario. This is my take as Bobby O. This is not a reflection of Cloud or the Cloud Foundation or the Cloud members or anything like that. This is my take as an individual, as an individual creator for the last 3+ years. I realize a lot of people are newer to the ecosystem. It took me a long time to figure out who was who and to understand ecosystem dynamics so I don't operate on a guilty by association basis. And the problem people in this ecosystem, their relevance has only gone down and to the right over the last 4 years. However, you would have had to have been here and watched it play out to actually see that. Their trajectory is down and to the right. And I posted that thing about Google yesterday. All it's going to take is something like that. All it's going to take is Google moving in, Microsoft moving in, some big VC moving in. And all these people, bam, irrelevant overnight. All the little scammy shit that they're doing, just as soon as this mainstreams, all of that goes to zero. We're about halfway through, guys. Because see, if we rewind 2 years, I wasn't on ICP Twitter. Jerry wasn't on ICP Twitter. Fabio wasn't on ICP Twitter. Other people were muddying the waters and just talking nonsense. And those of us moved in and kind of made them irrelevant. A lot of those people. And it's only going to keep going down to the right because these people add no value and do nothing but create noise. So if I'm going to be out on the front lines, I even create a flow chart for this. And I've been talking about this for a long time. If I'm out in the front lines doing the education, addressing the FUD, being here in the scary times, being out on the forefront of upcoming trends, and that's bringing people into the ICP ecosystem, what am I turning them over to? I'm turning them over to a group of disgruntled developers who are entitled for no fucking reason, who have a delusional sense of entitlement, who are going to put a bunch of nonsense in their head about how Dfinity's bad and about how we should really be running Dfinity. That's what I'm bringing. That's the environment I'm bringing them into. And if they don't get bombarded with a bunch of disgruntled, and a lot of these people are not serious devs, guys. I use the term devs in quotes for a lot of these ecosystem devs. There's a lot of serious devs, but there's a lot that aren't. Probably the majority aren't. And hopefully people can start seeing that now. But they're either going to get bombarded with the disgruntled dev crowd or with the scammer community, which is kind of fusing into one thing at this point. And one could make sense why that would be the case. Because if you're a developer, especially a developer like a lot of the people we have in this ecosystem, and you raise tons of money, and 1 or 2 years pass and you haven't done anything, guess what? People are going to start looking at you. Why is the treasury down, price is down, and there's no finished product? And it's been however long. You know what they're going to say? It's Dfinity's fault. Come on. They're setting the stage on why their project isn't going to be successful because it's Dfinity's fault. It's not my fault, guys. I took money from you. I told you I was going to deliver. I took a bunch of your ICP community and then I didn't deliver. And then I blamed it on Dfinity. It's the same cycle over and over. And the people who didn't, who are the people who built the community? The people who brought the most people to the community. That's who. I'm going to say about 10% of what I want to say. And so I'm not going to say most of, I'm going to not say most things in this video. So please don't make me do a follow up. I'm going to say my piece and then I'm done with all of you fucking people. Back to this real quick. I hope the best for Motoko DAO. I genuinely mean that. I like a lot of the people in Motoko DAO. It's best for ICP and the ecosystem as a whole if Motoko DAO does well and succeeds. I think it will. I don't think they need me. And I wish them the best moving forward. There's just no alignment with me right now and my personal brand. So let's just differentiate between a signal and noise, characteristics of the signal and characteristics of the noise. Signal gives people a better understanding of what's going on. People have a clearer picture of the future. It brings clarity to a situation. Noise does not give people a better understanding. It muddies the waters. It creates confusion and concern. So look at where the signal is coming from in this ecosystem and where the noise is coming from in the ecosystem. The anti-Dfinity crowd's been here from the beginning. They never leave, but they FUD retail normies out. It's mostly driven by anonymous fucking developers who have this delusional sense of entitlement, but they've never done anything. And I was confused early on, like, a couple years ago because I saw a lot of the people that were doing the most bitching at Dfinity also getting support from Dfinity and also getting opportunities from Dfinity. And I think that what now looking back in hindsight, that I think that's more so I've seen Dfinity set so many developers and people up for success, and then I've watched them drop the ball. People complain that Definity's not giving people enough opportunities. Definity's not doing this. Definity's not doing that. And then these people get what they asked for and then drop the ball. You don't learn by being given something that you didn't work for. I had to work very hard to get here with no support from Definity, and I never expect anything from them. And I don't feel like I'm owed anything. Many ecosystem devs are entitled and feel like they are owed the world. They feel like they should be running Dfinity. You need to understand there's a decent percentage of people in this ecosystem that genuinely believe they should be running Dfinity. That's how delusional they are. They believe it's Dfinity's job to market their project, to fund their project. Not all of them, but many. Like people like Terry, people like Jesse, I can fuck with them all day because they just have the mindset it's on me. I have to make it happen. No excuses, play like a champion. Those are the type of people you need to find. All these people making excuses and just bitching and complaining, run away from them. They have a loser's mentality. It's Definity's fault. It's Definity's fault. They have a loser's mentality. They are losers. They've probably been losers at everything they've done because they make excuses and they point the finger elsewhere instead of looking themselves in the fucking mirror. I already know how all the anti-Dfinity sentiment and initiatives and positions and I already know how that's going to age. It's going to age like milk. They created the only solution for Web3. They solved all the world's biggest problems. They're probably going to get every single award known to mankind. All this anti-Dfinity sentiment is going to go up in fucking flames. And the people that have been pushing it over the last 4 years, they're gonna just move straight away from it once it starts mainstreaming. Watch. So who really bears the brunt of all their nonsense is the average retail normie who's here now. That's who might not really know what they're watching. And see, I already know all these people are going to pivot in the future. I already know they're not going to be pushing all this anti-Dfinity sentiment and all this bullshit in the future, but they're doing it now. And right now, it undoes a lot of my work. So that puts you at direct fucking odds with me for no reason. Because I just wanted to help from day one with the broader network and with the ecosystem, man, and with ecosystem. I just wanted to help. That's it. I struggle just getting the bull case. Like I have so much like opposition just for making the bull case in the ecosystem. Think about that. Think about that. The thesis on how we get to Web3 did not come from the technical community. It came from me and Eric. And when I ever criticize the technical community, I'm not talking about anybody at Dfinity. I'm talking about the people who LARP and play make believe, um, and have no clue what they're looking at, and give a lot of trash technical takes to try to pass it off like a serious critique. And the thing is that everything gets flipped on his head as soon as a big partner, as soon as like I think they've already landed Google. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. But if something like that were announced, ICP or Dfinity and Google partnering together, Dfinity and Microsoft partnering together, just one more big VC, just one decent sized investor, guys, somebody could come in with $30 million and shake this entire situation up just by cloning a lot of these projects and doing better marketing because there is no marketing. But if Google were to move in the serious players, the big fucking players, not the I don't even want to call what we have here now at the application layer. I wouldn't even call them the JV team. I don't even know if I call them the middle school team. Because a lot of them are just non-serious people trying to play make believe as tech entrepreneur developer person. When the big players move in, you're going to find out how irrelevant all these people are, and all the bullshit that they were saying is just going to go up in flames. Because regardless of how important Adam Powell seems today, and at the network level, Adam will always be an important figure because he has that much stake at the network level. And I hope that Adam creates great working solutions that are successful. I'm not rooting against Adam. Him doing well is the ecosystem doing well. His projects doing well is better for everybody. But this whole, like, all these narratives being pushed that Google moves in 6 months from now, and everybody that's here now immediately becomes a million times less relevant at the application layer. Once the serious players get here, you're going to find out how non-serious so many of the people that are here right now are. It's going to change like that. Be careful what you wish for. If you put this out into the universe, be careful what you wish for. Let's just go over some of the obvious flags, red flags here with the Drain the Swamp campaign. One, Jordy was leading the charge with the Drain the Swamp campaign, somebody who's promoted tons and tons of scams in this ecosystem that have gone to fucking zero. She's leading the charge. That's the first red flag. But they omitted 40 or 50 blatant scams. So let me get this straight. We're draining the swamp. We're cleaning up all the problems, but yet we're not touching all of these fucking rug pulls and all the people that promoted them. And it just so happens that one of the main people that was promoting a lot of these shit coins that went to zero and that ultimately rugged and that retail lost money just happens to be Adam's right hand woman, his number two. That's interesting. So, omitted 40 or 50 blatant scams from the Drain the Swamp campaign. And you also omitted all the people that promoted those scams, who also happened to be very close to Adam and or supporters of Adam. Most of the people that promoted all these scams. Just go look. But I guess that's not a part of the, I guess addressing all the scams is not part of the Drain the Swamp campaign. Yeah. And some of the people who promoted most of the scams happen to be very close to Adam or big supporters, which is interesting. And yes, SNS projects that raised money and didn't produce anything, yes, that's a problem. So here's a solution. How about this? Higher standards for more ecosystem projects. Let's just say somebody wants to do an SNS and they're saying, give me your money. We want to go through the SNS. How about we just, as a community, create higher standards? Show me your finished product, and or if you don't have a finished product, exactly how long is it going to take you after you get funding, if you do, to have a finished product? Give me your full name and your full resume. This was from Dragons. Fantastic video. Guys, if these guys are going to try to create a serious solution, I've seen too many people not have any intention on creating a real solution. So I no longer believe every single team is really trying to build a successful solution because I've seen so many people run away from their own project. So this whole idea that everybody who's running a project is trying to create a successful project, that's not the reality. Many people are outright trying to scam. You just don't see that until in hindsight with most situations. And so that's why having higher standards on the front end, show me your full name and your full resume. How about a 5-year roadmap for the project? Everything that you've done before asking for money. This is not a criticism of blockchain pill at all, period. This is if this is a project that's going to be going through SNS, at least they got an opportunity to make their case or whatever. But like this is indicative of the ecosystem. Like a lot of these anonymous devs, they have no social awareness, they have no situational awareness, and they have no real tie with the community. People who did not help build the community want to try to co-opt the community, want to try to manufacture culture in the community. If they're going to try to create a serious project that actually adds value to the ecosystem, I wish them all the best. But this just further plays into the non-serious nature of so many of the people that have been behind so many projects that have already failed. So yeah, solution for the SNS situation, higher standards. But just because there's been numerous SNS projects that have not worked out and or have just basically taken retail's money and not delivered, that doesn't equal that itself does not equal Wenzel, Bartlett Wenzel, or Wenzel Bartlett is running some type of cabal. That was always a ridiculous, laughable narrative. And I'm glad it fell straight on its fucking face. This actually restored my faith in the ecosystem, watching this poll. Despite all the propaganda from all the paid shills, I mean, let's just call a spade, right? This was still what the community said, which is hilarious. This guy's running the cabal. Now, see, now the conversation is going to take a turn because what you've really been watching over the last couple of months is an anti-Dfinity campaign masked as something else. I've seen many of them, so I know what I'm looking at. Simultaneously, and so Wenzel's running the cabal, and then there's also been a lot of criticisms of Bob Bodley. Is there justified criticisms of Bob Bodley in many situations? Sure, I can see that. Um, the different things you would criticize Bob for, you could also criticize a lot of other people who are criticizing Bob if you look into that, right? But the Bob criticism has been out for the last 2 plus years, and nobody, I haven't really seen Adam jump in to the Bob criticism. So I thought it was interesting when Adam decided to pivot his criticism to Bob Bodley. It was very interesting. So let me go a little bit deeper into this real quick. Now, Wenzel did his own response. You can go watch this. I would highly recommend watching this if you are want to know what's going on with this whole situation. But this was the individual he was responding to. Okay. Now, you can go back a while. If Dfinity launches any new tokens, I will sell all my ICP. This is about potentially launching a token for caffeine or for Oisy. If Dfinity launches new tokens, I'll sell all my ICP. This was in January. Governance is shit, and no one will buy governance tokens. Retweeting somebody who's been fudding every day for forever. Dfinity may be managing funds based on Kyle Langham's analysis. That explains the current ICP price chart. It's bunch of people pushing a bunch of anti-Dfinity sentiment. Okay, you need to understand that what you've been watching is really a campaign against Dfinity, a pressure campaign towards Dfinity, not against Bob Bodley and Wenzel. Bob Bodley and Wenzel are being used as proxies for the broader campaign against Dfinity. See, if they come out and say from the jump, this is about Dfinity, it's not going to be a lot of support for that, right? It's very difficult to gin up support in the broader community when you're attacking Dfinity directly. But if you pick proxy targets that can accomplish the same objective as going straight from Dfinity, and you can kind of mask it in a bunch of bullshit, which is what they did, you can get more support. You can start building more support from the unsuspected people in the ecosystem that are just going to go along with it because they want to be outraged about something. They always put out partial information, just enough to where you're angry and you want to start attacking whoever they're attacking. They don't tell you all the other information that would lead you to say, this isn't really, I don't have anything to do with this. We're going to come back to that. Yeah. So this guy pushing tons of he, Bob Bodley are clearly part of the same interest group. Just look at the past tweets. Moreover, Bodley, Wenzel, and Kyle are all members of Synapse. As soon as y'all start including people that actually work for Dfinity in this, I'm done. Positive. Has the Drain the Swamp campaign been positive or negative on the eco? In many ways, it's been positive. I have to say that because it's helping people see. It's helping people see the reality of what's really going on in this ecosystem. It's helping people see the people who are compromised and they're not really speaking for themselves. They're just speaking based on whoever pays them the most. But this says it all. Like this is restoring my faith in the community. They can actually see this for themselves. One of the so old Milton Friedman quote, people can say they have the best of intentions. Everybody says they have the best of intentions, right? But judge things based on their results. What are the results that have been created? the positive, there are some positive results I have to acknowledge, but it's created a lot of confusion, a lot of noise, a lot of hysteria, a lot of concern, a lot of people thinking about leaving the ecosystem, right? That's what it's created. Regardless of the intention, we're going to clean things up. We're just going to avoid all these scams that we've been promoting over the last 6 to 12 months. We're going to ignore this part, but we're going to start attacking Bob Bonnelly and Wenzel because they're the best middle layer for the broader pressure campaign against Dfinity. All of these shitters. This wasn't, how are we going to have a drain the swamp campaign and not even address any of this? Now, the one they addressed was one that many of them promoted to the high heavens. Very big rug pull that happened not too long ago. Now, this individual, Adam, pinned it on this guy. I've talked to this guy 2 different times for over an hour. So we probably spent 2.5 hours on the phone between both calls. And I am, I can't say I'm 100% sure he didn't do it, but 90, high 90% sure he didn't do it. And he sent me all the information. And see, the weird part about this is that this guy got this. Bill was the only one. They omitted all these other shitters. Bill was the only one they wanted to look into. And they tied it to this guy, but then Jordy comes back. It's like they don't even have their story straight because Jordy then, after Adam had already put this out, that it's AI agent. AI agent was the Bill hacker, right? It definitely wasn't somebody in our circle. You know, the people that were actually promoting Bill. It definitely wasn't them. It was somebody else. And she says Bill got rugged by Luke. And so they still don't even have their story straight on this. But I can say, and he can speak for himself whenever he wants to, and I will support him wholeheartedly because I think he's been wrongfully accused of doing something that he didn't do. Jordy's promoted more scams in this ecosystem than anybody. Her and the other one, actually, let's just say three. She's promoted more scams in this ecosystem than anybody. And so people are blind. And so she's leading the Drain the Swamp campaign. She's the swampiest, one of the swampiest people in this ecosystem. She is the swamp. That's why this is so hilarious. That's why it's so funny. It's even funnier for me because I know how many alt accounts y'all have. I know how many fake accounts y'all have. You have to create fake accounts and fake engagement. It's worth reading or worth listening to. Yeah, it's a video on YouTube, about 20 minutes long. It's from somebody in the Neopets community and was in the Neopets Discord when I guess they banned Adam from the Neopets Discord. Yeah, worth watching if you're invested in projects where he has a very big say or is, yeah. If Adam's going to create legitimate working solutions, I wish him the best, and I hope he does, and I genuinely do hope the best for him. However, I've been in this ecosystem long enough to see enough bullshit, to see enough lies, to see enough people who genuinely weren't even trying to succeed with their project. They were just trying to extract liquidity from retail. I've seen that way too often to believe that every single project and every single team is genuinely trying to create a successful solution. So I no longer have the default assumption that every single person in this eco that's behind your project is actually trying to be successful. But if his intention is to take these projects on to be big successes, I hope the best. And that would be the best thing for the broader ecosystem too. So that's how I want this to play out. How I see it playing out is a different story. But this is worth watching. There's layers of complexity in most situations in the ecosystem, and this is, you can extrapolate out and just the same concept. It just gets more and more complex, more and more variables. But there's hidden alliances, incentives, information. I wouldn't look at anything as good or bad. I would look at it on a spectrum. And if Adam creates useful solutions, that will be great and it will add a lot of value to the ecosystem. But there is a race for money, power, and control that's happening at all times. So you just need to understand that. And yeah, this was when Kyle Langham is next. Bob Bonnelly, effing thief, needs to go to jail. David Fisher, the same. Listen, I understand the criticisms of Bob Bonnelly. I get it. But, um, I will say that there looks like there's a lot of overlap with things that you could criticize these people for. Yeah. And maybe even more on Adam's side than Bob's in all reality. Yeah. Because I don't know how many SNS projects Bob is behind or launched or is promoting, right? Because if a lot of these projects that are tied to Adam end up failing, I would argue that it's going to be a much bigger net negative than Bob. It's yet to be seen. Yeah, it's yet to be seen. But this was when I started, like, my whole outlook started turning because this started to look more like a thing against Dfinity. Yes, Winslow has to go. He and his cabal. Nobody bought that. No, see, that's the thing. Y'all hide in these little chat rooms and you get disconnected from the community, the actual community, which is why y'all have to do like these covert operations with other people to generate hysteria, to generate pressure. That's why y'all have to do that because y'all aren't plugged into the community. Y'all are plugged into your little echo chamber. What if the foundation is on it as well? What if ICP is rotten to the core or Dfinity is rotten to the core? Um, some people in the foundation are corrupt, yes, and they're generally not on the tech side. That's entirely possible. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think there's just layers and layers of, when you have a bunch when you're dealing with something like the hub for the new internet, there's going to be a race for money, power, and control. There's going to be a lot of differences of opinion. There's going to be a lot of friction with personality differences and all of those things at every single level, always. This is another thing. This is one of the ones that, and getting back onto the topic of this anti-Dfinity sentiment, this was the dev for Clown, and like he's been shit talking Dfinity for the last 2 years, ever since I got on X. This guy's been talking shit about Dfinity and Dom and everything. But then he does that for a year and a half and just dirties up the entire ecosystem with his fucking stupid nonsense. And then, oh, I'm gonna launch a project. Buy my token, right? That's how it goes, man. And Jordy's been one of the biggest supporters of this. And so I'm just noticing patterns with people who have always been. It's strange to me that people have been here for this long and they're still bitching at Dfinity. Like in my mind, like you leave at some point. Like I wouldn't if I thought they were doing that bad, I would have left. That's the logical thing that most people would think to do. Not sit here for years bitching and repeating the same things. Fucktards from Dfinity should provide LP on dexes for prominence. Blah, 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 blah. See, it's always Dfinity needs to do this. This could be solved as a community easily. But see, these people aren't connected to the community. They sit behind their anonymous accounts and they have a delusional sense of like what they're owed, of what Dfinity should be doing for them. One of the most greedy and dumb foundations I've ever seen. This was a few months ago, right? And so it's like, and the reason why this whole exchange started was because I was talking about cloud. And he wants to come in my comments and say, "Oh, we're doing the same thing." No, you're not. We're doing professional work. That's the fucking difference. So this project gives you $500 to give out to the community. You know what happens? A bunch of people make posts, fire them out. That $500 gets spent, and then that's it. You have nothing to show for it. $250 to the Cloud Foundation, and we provide a professionally edited promo video that can be used today, that can be used in a week from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and it will still be relevant and it's higher quality than anything else in the ecosystem. You get something, a piece of media, something that you can use for education, promo, and marketing and branding for the next few years. With this, that $500 is gone. You got nothing to show for it. So, yeah, you're not doing what we're doing. But if by chance, because remember, this project is already rugged one time last year, but if you're genuinely trying to create a real solution that adds value to the community, I wish you all the luck in the world. But I'm no longer assuming that people are doing that because I've seen too much to the contrary, especially with people like this, all right? Who wasn't a part of Clown initially, right? Remember, OGs took over Clown. He had nothing to do with it. He has nothing to do with it. And now all of a sudden, well, the truth comes out, right? Yeah. And so, like, if you haven't seen this video I did on February 3rd about this guy, I'm not going to rehash it all. But if you haven't seen it, and I would go watch it. And if you don't watch it and you continue tagging me in posts with this person or other scammers, I'm going to fucking block you. And if these are the people that you want to hitch your wagon to, that's perfectly fine. I know their reputations are going to zero. I can watch the trajectory. I can look at the trend over the last 4 years and just say there's nothing that's going to stop this trend because they're going to continue doing the same things that they've done to destroy their image even more. And so if you want to hitch your wagon to these people, that's fine because I know where this ends for this crowd. It ends with complete irrelevance. That's where it ends. So if you want to hitch your wagon to them, if you want to hitch your wagon to liabilities, go ahead. I'm one of the bigger assets in the ecosystem. Maybe one of the biggest when it comes to like what I do, right? I'm not an asset for things I don't do, but I'm one of the bigger assets in the ecosystem. And some of you have, for no reason, burned bridges with me for liabilities. Like, dumbest business move ever, because I would have helped you voluntarily just because I want to see people succeed. I want to see the ecosystem succeed. Look at the overlap here, right? Fakes his death, right? OGs saved the project, right? Passion, Crow, Victor all start shilling hard. Rugs again. Now they're going to do it all over again, right? Scott comes back, another rug, and then just repeat. It's just the same thing because they genuinely think the people in this ecosystem are stupid. They look at those of you who play along with their game, like y'all are, in their mind, y'all are the stupid people that they need to continue the scam. Stop tagging me in posts with scammers. Yeah. The people y'all are tagging me in posts with have done nothing for the community but extract liquidity and create noise. Nothing. Nothing. They've done less than 1% of the work that I've done, even less than that. Because the what they do extracts value, undoes work. That's what they do. All right. This is the logic too. Crypto is a casino, so it's okay if I scam over and over and over again because everybody else is doing it. So that means it's fine for me to do it. That's the logic. Okay, time to get to Bob. This is going to be the wrapping up of the video. Bob launches on September, or the first post on X was September 4th of 2024. I remember this very well because I was already doing a marketing AI. I was talking about caffeine AI before it was even announced. This was September 2nd, and I'm talking about the self-writing internet. And so there was already tons of hype. Sentiment was already sky high. I was getting Banfield like reach back here. So it was like 24,000 impressions, 360 likes, over 100 retweets. So tons of excitement, tons of engagement about the upcoming functionality with AI. And I was going to go on an entire AI marketing campaign for ICP and just do as much education as I possibly could. And then what happened? Bob launched 2 days later. And the entire feed was filled with Bob spam for months. And so I just stopped. It's all died out now, hasn't it? Manufactured hype always dies. My engagement is still there. I took a little hit with cloud, then right back up. Manufactured hype always dies. Organic hype never dies. So September 4th was Bob's first Twitter post. 3 or 4 months of max hype, tons of memes bonding, right? And then Odin. So here to here, this is the end of 2024, max hype for Bob, right? If you didn't own Bob, you were destined to be poor and you were an idiot. Most people thought Dfinity, some people still think Dfinity is behind Bob. Maybe they are, I don't know. But there were a few names that were thrown out that could potentially have been behind Bob. And so I want to go through a thought experiment really quick. I'm not saying that Adam is Bob or that Adam created Bob. And unless after this video, if somebody's going to respond to this part of it, unless you're going to provide hard, concrete evidence of who Bob is, I don't care about people's opinions. I'm just going through a hypothetical. So I don't care about your opinion. Oh, I don't think it, I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter to me. All right. Um, so Bob is very big and got tons of, I've never seen a project that get this much attention and hype, and rightfully so for this part of it. Number one, separate these two things, okay? Because I'm going to be talking about number two, not really number one, because number one does have a huge impact on the network, a huge positive impact on the network. So, and then all of a sudden, Odin, his first post was in early November-ish, and then Odin starts ramping up in January, February, right? Odin starts getting a lot of attention in late January and into February, and memes and things stop bonding on Bob. Bob just kind of Odin started to pick up. Odin started to get a lot of attention, a lot of focus, a lot of support from Dfinity, a lot of users, a lot of liquidity, and a lot of things dried up on Bob. So Bob, biggest thing imaginable here. Odin shows up, memes stop bonding, everything just stops with Bob. Bob.fun. All right. So then let's go to this is beginning of 2025. This is March when Adam starts the Drain the Swamp campaign. For anybody who noticed, as soon as Adam started the Drain the Swamp campaign, the Bob developer and the Alice developer randomly disappeared. It was almost down to the day. So that's interesting. And one of the very first targets of Adam was Bob Bonnelly. For the first time that I've seen in the last few years, I've seen Bob Bonnelly criticism. I haven't seen Bob Bonnelly criticism from Adam until here recently. And so let's just say, speaking hypothetically, that Adam was behind Bob. Let's do a thought experiment really quick. If you're Adam in this alternate reality where he created Bob and you foot the bill for Bob and you spend a lot of time and energy setting Bob up, think about all the cycles that were burned. And I mean, Bob is a resource intensive project, the first part of it, right? Resource intensive project. And so somebody had to finance that. And that's why a lot of people thought it was Dfinity because they were like, no way, anybody else would be burning all these cycles, right? So it must be Dfinity. And people let that narrative be run with too. Because if the community thinks that Dfinity's behind everything, they're more likely to buy. They're more likely to continue holding. They're more likely to invest because they think Dfinity is running it. And so people just let that narrative be run with. So as soon as the Drain the Swamp campaign started in March 2025, a couple months ago, Bob and Alice Dev disappears. Dragon then takes an interest, or Adam then takes an interest in Bob and Alice, right? And then all of a sudden, Robert comes back. Now, and when Robert comes back, he's retweeting, quote tweeting Passion Planet, and he's talking, making posts about Scott. Like, even if I ran Bob.fun, I'm not even mentioning anything about that token ever. And again, this Drain the Swamp campaign, which was run by Adam, which was Adam was leading the charge, Adam and Jordy, right? The Drain the Swamp campaign. Do you notice? You should, because I've been over it multiple times already, that they kind of omitted all these rug pulls that were a lot of them coming from Bob.fun, right? They omitted all those from the Drain the Swamp campaign, and they omitted all the people that were promoting all of those tokens that have now rugged, right? And so I'm not saying that Adam did create Bob or is behind Bob. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I just know he was one of the names that got thrown out there. And I think it has a decent amount. I think it has more explanatory power than anything else. Just something to consider. And a couple weeks later, Bob Devs comes back, quote tweet. I mean, it's. And so if we just put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who might have created Bob.fun if they felt like they did so much good for the community and they felt like they changed the network economics with the burn currency play, which they did. And then all of a sudden they watch community support, Dfinity support pivot to something that could be considered a competitive platform because it's a meme coin launcher at the end of the day. Would that be enough to serve as a catalyst for a broader campaign against maybe this person, but maybe also against the people that were putting Mr. Bodily in position? Because if you use proxy targets, that's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to hide the true target or the true intention. And now Robert's back. Why did the community think that Dfinity was behind Bob? And think about this. Well, outside of just the obvious that it's burning a lot of cycles, and there was a lot of support from people in the Dfinity circles early on, right? And what's the benefit of the community believing Dfinity is behind Bob? They're more likely to invest, 100%. If you think Dfinity is running a project as opposed to just some random other team, you're more likely to invest in that project. Like the highest degree of like trust in this ecosystem is with Dfinity and anything they're behind or they're building themselves. And it was somewhat believable because of the public support. It was the most I've ever seen. But that was the narrative that was being pushed. That was the bull case for many people about Bob, was that Dfinity's running. I know because I've asked people on spaces and they had no good answer outside of Dfinity's probably running Bob. Hypothetically, let's say that same whale owns a decent percentage of the ecosystem. Let's say the same whale that owns tons of the ecosystem also started these projects or is heavily involved with the, like, how crazy is that? Like, why is that some crazy idea? Why is that not the default assumption? Needed somebody with deeper pockets early on for the mining, burning, all of that. And what are some potential catalysts that could have led to Bob or Robert randomly taking a break with no real explanation? What about a competitive platform popping up that took a bunch of your users and liquidity and Dfinity ultimately pivoting their support to this other competitive platform? Is that enough to set somebody off? To have them really pissed off that they want to go on some campaign against the broader power structure? If I was in that position, I'd be pissed off. My actions wouldn't have that followed wouldn't have been the same, but I would have been pissed off. Speaking hypothetically, if I was him, I very well may be pissed. And so in closing, and this is it, I'm done after this. I'm done with all these people, man. I'm with Spider on this, man. I'm pulling all support from people promoting scams, scammers. If you're running anti-Dfinity bullshit, I'm done, bro. It's over. I'm muting or blocking you. Don't DM me. Leave me alone. I'm not talking. Like, it's not in alignment with what I'm doing. Hard stop. I don't care to investigate all of this anymore because I already have tons of additional information. And yeah, so I didn't actually say 95+% of the things that I know in this video. And I'm just going to sit on them because there's no point because these people are never going to leave. Not that I want them to leave. I want everybody who's genuinely trying to be successful to be successful. I want everybody who's genuinely trying to scam to be exposed and to get the fuck out of the way because all they're doing is creating problems. People just go right back to supporting scammers. That's why there's no real reason in dropping tons and tons and tons of information. That's why the ecosystem is garbage. That's why it's trash. But it's really just a percentage. And the majority doesn't support all this stupid shit. It never has. This is not one ecosystem or one community. And the second there is a big partnership or VC moves in, like if Google were to move in, it would show everybody how irrelevant all of these people are, how irrelevant Adam Powell is to the bigger picture. He's relevant at the network level because he has such a big stake. But at the application layer, he's only going to become more irrelevant over time. People can't see that right now because they have no foresight. But those people also didn't put out the 10-year thesis on how we get to Web3. Me and Eric did. I put in 3+ years of volunteer work and served as a de facto PR team for Dfinity in many scenarios. Not because I blindly support them, but this very important point, because I 100% believe in my thesis, and more importantly, because of the impact it has on retail normies. That's why I speak up, because I see the impact it has on retail normies. It shakes out so many retail normies at the bottom. I see people who trash Dfinity get more support from Dfinity than I do. And I'm not mad about it. I kind of understand why it happens. Like, if they want to, like, if somebody's going to complain to Dfinity about, hey, you're not supporting us enough, they say, okay, we'll give you another op. Dfinity's given so many different teams and people opportunities and set them up for success. And I've watched this time and time again where they just drop the ball. Because again, if you're given something that you don't really have to work for and grind for, you're less likely to stay in that position. I don't let that, you know, I don't let the fact that I don't let that stop my mission. Getting the truth out and being an outlet for retail. Like, that's my mission. And I'm not letting anything stop that. Whether I get support from XYZ or not. But I see tons and tons of incomplete projects. A lot of them tied to Adam. A lot of them tied to this group. And apparently the community thinks that Adam and company are the cabal. So that wasn't like my take. That was the community on a poll. But I see tons and tons of incomplete projects tied to Adam Powell and all this group around him. Tons. He can't pump all these to multi-billion dollar valuations. I do want to see I do want to see what Adam's working on be successful. Um, but I see a bunch of incomplete projects, and I see a bunch of non-serious people around him. Like, if Jordy's your number two, like, I'm looking at you side-eyed until you have a like extended, until I see a lot of different like real solutions being created, and even still then, because again, these are all the people that have been scamming for the last couple years. I don't know if he can pump one of these projects into a multi-billion dollar. I don't know how much liquidity these guys have left. This guy has left, but they have spread themselves out over way too many. It's 20 people, 20 to 30 people to 30 projects. That's the situation with the actual cabal, or at least the people that the community thinks is the cabal. 8 to 10 actual projects or SNSs, and then 20 something memes, all being promoted by the same 20 people. And so I'm with Spider on this. I'm done with. I already told Victor I was deuces, man. You want to go promote scammers? You go right the fuck ahead. Get the fuck out of my feed because it's just a cancer. For the people that genuinely want to create, and again, I don't care. I don't care who's behind Bob.fun. I think that the first part has been a big net positive for the ecosystem. I think the second part has been a scam launcher. And it's very interesting that this Drain the Swamp campaign did not want to look in to all the different rug pulls that happened, many of which from tokens that bonded on Bob. And I also think it's interesting the timing of everything that happened with this Drain the Swamp campaign. Adam's going on his Drain the Swamp campaign, right? And then all of a sudden, the Bob dev and the Alice dev go missing, or just they're MIA. Adam immediately starts attacking Bob bodily. Adam, as Bob.fun, explains a lot of things. Just a hypothetical scenario. It may or may not be true. I'm not saying that it is true. The timing of everything is very, very, very interesting. And if you look at the people around everything, certain explanations have more explanatory power than others. So that's it. I'm done. And I am very done with all of these fucking people. And if like, y'all can't win a PR battle with me. So leave me the fuck alone. And I mean that like to my core. You cannot win a PR battle with me. So leave me the fuck alone. I'm disconnecting all of my shit from everything that y'all have going on. Okay? You're welcome. You're welcome for everything that I've done up until this point. Because that's the thing that some of y'all don't fucking get. Is that the people who brought the most people into this community are the ones who built this community. not people who hid behind their fucking keyboards and just raised money from the community and didn't create shit. Until those people actually create real working solutions, they've done fucking nothing but raise money. That's it. I raised no money and brought tons of people into this ecosystem. And I expect nothing from Dfinity in return from it. But I'm done after this. No reason of reaching out to me. If you haven't been supporting my channel for the last year and a half, there's no reason of reaching out to me. Period. I know who supports my channel and who doesn't. And I'm moving 100% of my time, energy, everything to the people who actually support my work. So for those people, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. To everybody else, best of luck in the future. You're going to need it. That's all I have for this video. This was not financial advice. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. Take care. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.